Hello everybody, welcome back. So the bike is off the bench. In this video we're gonna just cover off how the dyno run went, and then I am also going to change out the shock for a serviced Ohlins race shock that I've got, and then also just reconfigure the rear set up and fit in the quickshifter. So this is the shock that we're going to stick in, which has got a hydraulic preload adjuster, has got high and low speed compression damping, as well as the rebound adjustment on the base there. This was serviced on my last bike, but I never raced it, so it's all good and fresh and ready to go. And then I'm going to fit in a new Dynojet quickshifter. Now this is quite an interesting unit because it is able to work both in a push and pull function, because it's got two different connections depending on how you want to connect it up. So effectively these will be the last two jobs, and then I'll talk through the dyno results as well, so you can see where we got to with the bike. Okay, so first things first, let's quickly whack on this shock. Okay, first things first, I've opened up the seat unit and just taken the cabling out of the way so we can get to the top pivot bolt there. We're going to have to take off all of this rear setting because I need to get into the bottom pivot bolt that sits under there. So I'm going to quickly do that, and then what we need to do is we need to unweight the suspension to be able to undo the shock. So I'll get it onto a different workshop stand which will hold it off of the frame so that we can take the weight off of the rear swinging arm. Okay, so let's get this rear set off so that we're in a position ready to go, and then I'll stick it on the workshop stand. Okay, so now the bike's safely on its ABBA stand, what we can do is now loosen off this top bolt and then come in, lift the chain up and undo the lower tie bolt as well. Let's do those quickly. Okay, one Ohlins shock fitted. So lower tie bolt and upper pivot bolt, 42 Newton meters, and it's really just a case of being able to unload your rear axle so that you can get it in and out. It does sort of just impact against the plastic under tray when you're trying to take it out, which can be a little bit of a bugger. So anyway, that's that off. Okay, so I have put the rear set on loosely just so I can work out where I want to be. So it's in a race shift pattern now, whereas beforehand when the lever was at the top it was in road shift, and I basically need to alter the rod to be able to fit this in here. Okay, but if you look where I roughly am at the moment, I'm at maximum adjustment for the position of this gear lever. So what I'm also going to do is just take off about 5mm or so off the rod, so I've got a bit more manoeuvre and space to be able to pull that lever up if it's not comfortable. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure the distance between, let's put that down to about there, the distance between here and the back of the quickshifter, sorry, the front of the quickshifter, because it's that way round. So I'm going to measure the difference between the front of the quickshifter and the rear of the quickshifter, and then take that distance out of this rod. Okay, and then what we'll do is we'll then assemble it all back together with the quickshifter in to put back on the bike. Okay, so let's go over to the device and get that done. By fate, or expediency of other purchases before, I had a couple of old shift rods lying around. Now, as you can see here, if I put the existing shift rod from the rear sets up against the quick shifter, that is about 10 millimeters, perhaps a little bit more shorter in overall setup. And if I wanted to use this one and sort of put it roughly in the same place and just line that up, you can see I would gain a shift rod that was about 4 millimeters or so shorter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to use this one first and just see where that roughly lines us up. So let's stick that on the bike. So that is worked out absolutely perfect for me. So I've got a nice amount of adjustment both on the front and the rear, so that we're okay if we need to sort of make any changes. What I'm going to do now is just lock off everything because it's roughly in the right place for me, and then we need to run the cable in up to the power commander. Okay, that's everything locked in. What I'm going to do is I'm going to run the cable up into the seat unit under there. So I'm going to basically tie wrap it just round the clutch slave cylinder, just there, with a little bit of slack so it can move. So we need that slack so it can go backwards and forwards without any issue. And then I'll bring it up into here, and then we'll make the connection underneath the seat unit up in here. So let's get the cable that needs to connect into the quick shifter. The extension cable for the quick shifter, you have to take off this cover. So that's that plugged in there. I've got an excess of cable here, because that's going to come down here, and then we're going to bring up the main cable, so it'll sit roughly about there. So I'm going to tie wrap everything up and then get it all tidy so that it's secured properly. Okay, so we've got the quick shifter in place on our shift rod. The cable goes up there, it's nice and loose on the clutch connection, comes up behind the chassis, then follows the loom behind the rubber clips. That's our connection. Now when you shift down, it wants to pull, so we've got the yellow and red connector, which is the pull one, and the green and the blue one is the push, and then it follows up. I've got the cable looped up and just tied to the earth cable, and then finishes just in the power commander there. All I need to do now is I need to enable the software inside the power commander. So let me grab the laptop and a power source and we'll do that quickly. Okay, once you connect in your power source and the communication lead for the power commander, you'll get a enable shift kill functionality come up with the disc. I've got it as software already on my computer, so all you need to do, just enable that, and that's it now enabled. If you want to adjust settings and the like, if you want to adjust settings, you open up the main power commander software and you'll get these sort of settings here: minimum RPM for it to engage at and kill time. So it's sort of advisable to leave it where it is and just play with it, but I always put the minimum revs because it's a V-twin at 3000, so I'll just put those settings in like that. All done. So we'll just disconnect that, disconnect the power source, reconnect the quick shifter, just put that in, and then just put the little comms port cover back on. And that is the quick shifter enabled for this bike. So we can close that cover off. Okay, so after we did the dyno runs and I picked the bike up, you'll see that we've got a power curve that's not untypical for 748 SP cams. It's has a number of rises, sort of going from 6,000 up to 7,000 RPM, and then another big power hike from 7,500 up to 9,000 revs, which is a really nice place to be racing wise. And then the peak power of the bike was 99.86. So all in told, looking at other bikes, a nice power curve. I've moved the power slightly to the left in the rev range so it comes on earlier. Yeah, it could have been a cleaner one, but you'll see we've got a good torque position coming in between 7.5 to 9,000. We're also seeing about 55 foot-pound of torque, so it pulls quite nicely just as it's making its good power as well. So we'll see how this goes as a bike when we start racing it. And I'm done. Oh, just noticed I've lost a bung on the end of the bar when it's been at the dyno. Must have knocked it off. So that's this build finished for now. So it's entered in for Cadwell on the 27th and 28th of April. So that'll be its first competitive outing. I've got decent shock in the rear. The quick shifter is fitted. We're ready to go. So again, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please chuck us a like down below. If you've got any questions or comments, then feel free to ask. And if you're not a subscriber, would really welcome you to the channel. Hit that subscribe button and the notifications button for more content. Next immediate job is to get the RS250 ready for the same meeting. So I'm going to be putting its carbon bodywork back on, new set of heads, change it over to run on avgas because it's set up to run on unleaded. So there's quite a little bit of work to do on that next week, but that's it for now. Once again, thanks for watching. See you later. Cheers now. Bye.